Hey guys, how's it going? RedMaster here, and welcome back to episode of Cards and Castles Cast and Conflicts, where today we've got another great match lined up for you. So without dragging on this intro too long, let's go ahead and jump right into game number one and see what goes down. Welcome back, folks, to another episode of Casting Conflicts. Of course, we've got Asteroiy, returning veteran, taking on the newcomer, Allensis. Hopefully I pronounced that name correctly. And, of course, joining me in the casting booth today is Tweakin'. Tweakin', how you doing?
I'm doing great. It's always fun to be in the booth with you or Slasher. It's always a
Always
privilege.
fun indeed. So we've got a debuting Allensis here. How do you think he's going to do against Asteroiy? Of course, Asteroiy is pretty seasoned, but we see it looks like to be a Viking pirate taking on Warlock Druid. How are your thoughts going for our debuting competitor here?
I want to see a big win for Al, kind of make his presence known in this casting conflicts. But running blue-green against Warlock and Druid, it's going to be kind of hard to kind of build up his back units. He doesn't run. I've actually played this deck in the ladder before. He does not run Rusty Hooks or Pole. It's mainly kind of just a beefy spam deck with Lightning Blades, Mordox, Temple of the Five Gods. So it's
Really
going to be
trying to
interesting
use the
to
chain,
see.
right?
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to have to see if he's going to be able to get all those down, because we see in Asteroid's hand he already has a Spiny. He's got some
Fear
redraws
cycle,
here. Yeah,
burn,
exactly.
yeah.
Just draw the Centaur, so it's going to be hard to kind of build his presence up in the back with Allen when he has all these kind of whatever he plays. Rat Hovel, that's gone. Temple of the Five Gods, he can easily get rid of that in 2 turns.
Right.
So it's going to be hard.
It is, certainly will be. And we've already seen Allen taking kind of low roll. We saw that he pulled Saurus off the Matty. Not what you really want to see when you throw down the Matty. And
Hmm.
really hasn't been able to kind of make a move here. I mean, turn 3, we saw no additional cards played, just trading off the Lumberjack to end the turn. Kind of indicates to me that he's in a little bit of a trouble with his opening hand here. But we'll see Dragon Knight. A little bit of a recovery here, which is nice.
That's going to be helpful. We'll see if Asteroid wants to start playing some of his burns or maybe a Spiny. He might even
No, he'll
opt to
probably
go
play
for
that
the
Dark
Dark
Bender.
Bender here.
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
say
he
the Dark
might even
Bender
opt
might
to
be the prime play to go to. I think
get
he's
that
also
range unit
being
out early.
wary, though, of Reanimate, because that is a potential that these decks sometimes carry, and especially with
Hmm.
cards like Dragon Knight, the Saurus being weakened, those can easily be turned into some undead Reanimate food and appear as Horsemen or Banshees, which is going to be problematic. But we'll probably see the Dark Bender be played from Asteroiy. Seems like the safe play there. And,
Hmm.
I mean, kind of curious to see how Allen responds to this. If he does have that Reanimate, maybe throws out his Temple. What can you see Allen doing here in his next turn?
I could see he does run Onslaught too, so he could put the Onslaught on the Dark Bender, because he doesn't really have like a clear way to get rid of a range unit. He doesn't, unless like he runs kind of like scopes. He doesn't really have any lunging. He's gonna opt for a Temple of the Five Gods, maybe kind of prepare himself for a Mystic Journey Rat King play.
Oh
Kind
yeah,
of,
that's coming up. I mean, the
yeah.
gold is there. We'll see
Hmm.
Asteroiy in response to the Temple, reinforce his hand a little bit, which I think is a solid choice to do. But I think other than that, maybe get the Rider out, or okay, going for Spiny Chip damage. It looks like kind of keeping the pressure up, maybe mitigating the Rat King Mystic Journey potential there.
Right. If I was Asteroid, I would be trying my hardest to get rid of that Temple of Five Gods, because I know just how
No.
interesting that he played it on the
Yeah,
Blacksmith.
I was about to say, usually Onslaught going on those range units, but we're gonna see Blacksmith take the hit instead. I'm not
Hmm.
sure if maybe that's just to weaken his units going forward here, but he does leave the Darkbender alive, or is this the game?
This is game.
Yeah, that's
This
game.
is
Centaur
game.
Spiny comes in and can wrap up the game just like that. So, yeah, big win for Asteroiy here in the opener. Kind of pretty dominant. We'll get some player feedback on that, but yeah, any thoughts on that?
It kind of just
Tweaking.
took us by surprise. Yeah, it kind of just took us by surprise. We're kind of just sitting here waiting, and all of a sudden it was just game right
Yeah,
then and
the
there.
math wasn't really connecting until it actually goes through. But with that being
Right.
said, let's go ahead and take it back to both of our players here and see how they're feeling after game number one.
I was not expecting that.
All right, and we're back here after match number one. And Alan, how you feeling? Your first match, you got a little bit whooped there, but tell us how your thoughts are for that match.
Yeah, I probably should have been like, once I saw the companion, I should have been protecting my castle more and not letting him pull something off like that. I kind of just wasn't really preparing myself for some sort of instant game ender like that.
Hmm.
Right. We noticed your hand was a bit weakened, or at least like maybe not weakened, but it didn't seem like you have a lot of options, at least in the earlier portions of the game. I mean, you passed turn three. You know, you kind of set up Temple as the only turn five play. I mean, what did your hand look like towards those mid stages of the game?
I had an okay mid game. I had Onslaught and then I had two Mercenaries in hand, so I was gonna Mercenary that Darkbender.
Ah, that explains the
Okay,
But
onslaught
yeah.
then. Yeah.
yeah, but
Mhm,
that was it was too late.
Yeah,
mhm.
I mean that happens here. And Asteroiy, I guess we'll go on the other side of here. Pretty dominant coming from the Warlock Druid. I assume that deck is just focused on aggressive damage, perhaps. I mean, we kind of saw a lot of companions being thrown at the castle. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, it's the idea is just getting value out of burn,
Right,
and like burn does so much damage, but it does so much more damage when it also gets a unit on face.
that's
And
true.
so
Yeah,
companions and other units having things burned out of their way just, eats away at someone's face, and it can kind of play early or late, because as the game gets later, it's easier to burn you down from 15 health and sudden death. But earlier in the game, if I have that tempo, I can finish it, before we even get there. It's just a kind of an all around good deck.
So
and
is it
as
kind of like
yeah.
a no interaction deck where you're kind of like not really focused on the units, but more so just kind of focusing on the castle, and you have like enough burn in that deck, and also paired with the companions that you're really not worried about what units he plays because you run fear, you have enough companions, and you got Darkbender in there. So is it kind of like that?
It's a bit more focused on what I'm doing. Uh, that's kind of the objective, is to perform well in most scenarios.
Hmm.
I think the one last thing for me, or at least for Asteroiy, is how do you feel going up against those colors specifically as the Warlock Druid? Do you feel like you had a strong advantage, strong disadvantage, and were you nervous about anything specifically? Just kind of fill us in there.
Um, I wasn't feeling too bad. Not seeing a blacksmith turn three was a godsend, because had I seen a blacksmith, the even just the inkling of an idea that Rat King Mystic Journey could
Hmm.
plop down at any time is absolutely frightening.
Right.
So that was the one thing I was worried about that matchup.
I mean,
So
we were kind of waiting for it on our end too, but
Yeah,
with that
I
being
just
but
didn't
said,
draw one.
I think Red and Druid is probably one of the better factions to go up against Green Blue because you have those burns and you have companions to kind of knock down the rat hovels and get rid of the Temple of the Five Gods. So it's kind of hard for Blue Green to kind of build up their defenses because
yeah,
you
you're
have so
trading
many
out.
you have so many avenues where you can get rid of those where it's kind of hard for them to kind of make them last, make them survive.
Yeah.
right. But with that being said, I think that does give us a nice transition here into game number two. So let's go ahead and jump right into that match right now.
For a long match here.
Long match, or one that brings us to game number three. But anyway, here we are, folks, back into game number two. We're going to see Asteroiy with a pretty similar hand to his, I believe, first one. But we'll see Alan go for the Ninja Pirate counter against Asteroi's Tempo here. What are your thoughts, Tweakin, in regards to those colors?
It's I don't really like green purple. It's kind of it's a hit or miss. It's a hit or miss. It depending on what he runs in this deck, whether it's a bounce deck or kind of like a maybe like a range and a first strike deck or like a multi strike deck. There's just so many avenues you can take with green purple, but it's so hard to win a match with green purple. I think because like I said, you have the companions, you have the burns, so it's going to be hard to get these to have those buildings survive.
Right,
So we're
and
gonna
we're kind of
see,
seeing that
yeah.
already with the Spiny being really aggressive on the hovel here, giving Alan not really a lot of room to breathe. We'll see a Southport Captain come out, which will be nice to take care of that Spiny here. I doubt that Rat Hovel, though, will be seeing the light of day for the next turn. Yep, and
But
there
we
is the slap.
Yeah, we're not seeing Asteroid having the best of hands right now. We're gonna see what he can draw with the more Call of Aid, a Centaur. So come
Surprising.
this turn
Okay.
5, it's gonna start getting pretty hard for Al to come back, depending on what he can pull here and what he can play, because we're about to see 4 Rangers coming out here pretty soon.
We will see a double blacksmith, which is a decent counter to the call for raid. Not the best, considering that Asteroiy obviously has ways, to easily avoid that.
Hmm.
But we're gonna see and that's
Yep.
nasty. We can see what Asteroiy wants. Dragon's Fire does clear the board here, which is quite scary. We'll see the southward do, the good chip damage for 4, thinking that Asteroi's gonna have to retaliate. Decides to push that in, be aggressive with it. Dragon's Fire not getting a whole lot of value. That's a lie. It does get value, but
Hmm.
not really clearing the board, which I think Asteroiy does want.
If he
here.
wants to play the Dragon's Fire, I would blaze his castle with the swords right here to set up, or even incinerate.
Well, I think he's worried about the Southport Captain leaving that just alive and doing more damage on face, because of course he
Yeah,
doesn't have the healing. I agree with you though. He does take the
before
initiative
damage
to
is yeah.
Blaze, and that would give him the opportunity to make it even more impactful Dragon's Fire. But instead,
Mhm.
looking to do Incinerate Blacksmith, which is of course a fair move here, and it does give him the ability to lunge that Centaur in to finish off the swords as well, moving
Exactly.
into the next turn. Curious though how Allen will respond to this. We haven't seen a whole lot of what really makes Allen's deck. What's the main purpose here? We do see a Kunoichi. Okay, could be a little bit of trouble, but of course Asteroiy has that Dragon's Fire, and Flamestorm on top of that now. So multitude of ways to reveal the Kunoichi if he
You know what?
wants
I
to.
would play Flamestorm, see where the Kunoichi is, play Spiny to get rid of the swordsman, and then I might even sack the blacksmith into the Kunoichi, kind of, because we already see Allen has 3 cards left, and you have 2 rangers in hand with another Call of Aid. I wouldn't push this blacksmith just yet because you don't know where that Kunoichi is.
Right.
And if you play the Flamestorm, you can see where he is, and you can decide whether your blacksmith can see. There you go.
Ooh, he didn't.
See, now you're in trouble.
Uh-oh. That is certainly a problem. So Blacksmith taking the preemptive approach, trying to move and find the Kunoichi, comes up short. Considering a Flamestorm now, question mark? I mean, you don't really have enough to make things work super well. And, okay, Kunoichi was behind swords the entire time. Interesting there. We will see the sword trade with the Spiny, of course, like you mentioned. And, but yeah, Kunoichi is left alive to her
We
own
could
devices.
see a lunging strike. Oh, I was
Oh.
going to say, if we could have saw a lunging strike or swiftness with multi-strike, oh, that would have been the icing on top. That would have been just great.
Although that's going
Like,
to
we're
be a
gonna-
nasty game ender for Allen, really. Considering the Dragon's
Mhm.
Fire is sitting, waiting in the hand. Koru having that, the perfect amount of health to fit Dragon Fire criteria. We're going to see it pop off, and there it goes.
Ugh.
Allen's board nearly completely wiped. He does keep the armory, which is a nice plus, but still,
We see
gonna
the
be a
blaze in hand,
tricky
too.
recovery. Does bring out more, which is nice.
That is a great pull. That is a great answer for Allen, because
Right.
we're gonna have to see. Oh, we're gonna see a ranger pop up, but you have Mordok. That's good for at least one more unit too.
We'll
So,
see.
depending
Taking
on what
away the
he
armory
draws-
was big for him.
That
of
was, yeah.
course. Oh, Scope
Oh, yeah.
Mordok.
You'll love to see it. You'll love to see it, and the blacksmith too.
So something is going to definitely make the trade here. Oh, it doesn't even need to sack the unit.
Oh.
Runs the horseman
Oh.
down. Oh no, Asteroiy
Allen has
is
some
in
life.
trouble.
Allen has some life. Don't count him out just yet, people.
He's doing strong. We see. I mean, Asteroid's hand is not looking the best to deal with a scoped Mordok. I mean, what does he do?
Mm-mm.
Tempt him to come forward.
Mordok
and
is gonna
ranger him
get
off? Like, that's pretty much what I see him doing, but
Yeah.
that could be a
I
game
would-
ender if he allows that
It's-
to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
we
it's-
see
oh,
Ranger
man.
come in, followed up by the call for aid. Uh-oh, not really too good. Asteroiy knows he's in a not so good spot. And that's the game.
Oh my
Multi-strike
gosh.
hits
Allen
castle.
pulls it out, people.
From
Oh.
the depths of the Dragon's Fire comes Scoped
Wow.
Mordok to end off game number 2. Very nicely done from Allen, bringing it back in game number 2, making a big splash on top of that. I mean, I think we should go to both players and see how
Wow.
they're
Let's
feeling.
see it.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, let's go,
Let's
guys.
do it. Yes, Allen. Yes. Welcome to the league. That was a big game. Big answer. We love to see it. We were rooting for you. Asteroid, we love you too. but we just wanted to see that game 3. We want Allen to get that game 3 for his debut.
I mean, listen,
Wow.
the Dragon's Fire was evil, but let's take this, of course, between both players here. I guess we'll start with Alan in the choice of Ninja Pirate to take on Warlock Drew. What was your thought process choosing that specifically to counteract what you saw in Game 1?
Mhm. Well, my thought process was Ninja Pirate. I have really good like starting hand. I have 2 murders to take out the Dark Benders if they have any problem, and I have a lot of global buffs in that deck. I didn't expect to draw that many. I run 3 Blacksmith, 2 Armory, and I drew almost all of that. I think I drew all of it except
The
1
second
Armory.
yeah.
Yeah, and then I had the just the easy. My units were so powerful even after the Dragon's Fire. I had the Mordok, and I was getting pretty lucky draws, to be honest, that it didn't matter that I was so low on cards.
Hmm. Yeah, that
And,
Mordok was a big pull. Because we saw in Asteroid's hand that he had 2 Rangers and another Call of Aid. So I was feeling for you, Alan. I didn't know what you had in your hand, but I was like, oh, this is gonna be tough because it's
Well-
hard enough to deal with 2 Rangers at 5 gold. It's even harder to counter that with only 3 cards in your hands.
Before that Dragon's Fire, I was setting up all like my global buffs and my Kunoichi to try and get like 8 attacks, so I could
Mhm.
trade with the Rangers very well, but that didn't end up mattering.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's actually where I wanted to go for your next question here. When that Dragon's Fire did hit, was the Mordok like just Plan B? Like how did you kind of go about once the Dragon Fire hit? Because that wiped out a good portion of your board. Both blacksmiths, followed up by the Kunoichi and the Koro, both being lost. I mean, how do you think that you were going to recover from that? Did you have the Mordok in hand and you kind of went with that plan, or was it something that you just kind of went with on the fly?
Yeah, I saw the Dragon's Fire, and at first I was a little scared because I lost everything. But then I realized I had Mordok in hand. I was gonna be able to play my turn before he could just set up, and so he'd have to counter me, and I wouldn't have to counter him.
Mhm.
So I wasn't really too scared. It made it harder to get the win, but the win was still there.
Now,
Right.
did you draw the scope your next turn after you played Mordok?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, you
That
loved
was
it. You
really
love to
lucky.
see it. You love to see that. Oh.
And I guess going to the opponent's side now, Asteroiy, I guess, what were your thoughts regarding the Ninja Pirate? What were your thoughts going into the matchup? Did you feel like you were going to have a bad matchup? Take us through some thoughts on that.
I was kind of delighted to see that. I thought that would be a good matchup for me, and
Mhm.
I think it basically was. Just at the end there, misplaying the Ranger by pushing it, and then actually getting punished for it was pretty unlikely. But yeah, in hindsight, the Ranger just shouldn't have pushed all the way forward. That way,
Yeah.
if he did have the scope, I'd at least be able to trade off the Mordok.
It seemed that during that matchup, it was going your way pretty much the entire match, except like it just one turn. There was just a speed bump. Like you were getting ready to play Dragon's Fire, then he played the Dancing Sword, so it was going to survive and hit you for 9. And then the next time you had the Kunoichi come out and you were gonna play Flamestorm, but you couldn't find it. And you opted to go with the Blacksmith. So it was just small little instances that gave Alan life and pretty much prolonged the match in order for Alan to come up with the victory at the end. So it was just those small little hiccups that kind of cost you the match.
But going back on the Flamestorm play, just as our last question before we move into Game 3 here, we mentioned to it in the match too. You could have easily gone for the Flamestorm to reveal Kunoichi instead of pushing Blacksmith preemptively. Just take us behind the thought process of that decision. Why not go for the reveal first and then take action from there instead of the play that you made at that moment.
So I had a pretty complicated turn to look at there.
Right.
There's like a lot to think about and think through. Like, how am I going to burn this off? I have to make sure the swords dies. There was a lot to take into account, and I wanted to get as much out of the turn as possible. And I just decided with what time I had that the best way to do that would be if I found the Kunoichi by moving my blacksmith like that, I could get rid of everything or most everything in a much more efficient manner than if I wasted the flame storm without knowing if I needed to use it.
Hmm.
Okay, so more of like an idea that you wanted to kind of maybe not use Flamestorm unless you absolutely had to, something along those lines, like, you know, preserving the burn instead of
Yeah.
something for that. Okay, that makes sense then.
Because I think in this hand he also had the centaur and the spiny too.
Right.
Yep.
So he
So
had
if he would have,
options.
yeah, so if he would have found the Kunoichi, he would have played spiny and centaur to get rid of both those units while still having the blacksmith on board. I think. I think that's
I
the way.
wasn't even thinking about companions. I put my Kunoichi behind the Dancing Swords because I was really afraid of him Northlands Rangering it because I think I had another blacksmith in hand and I knew I could trade better if I got the last one out because it would have raised the damage to 8 instead of 7.
Hmm.
So I just wanted to get a better trade out of it.
Right.
And
And
it
that's what
costed him
I love
blacksmith
invisible
play
units.
and Flamestorm.
Yeah, I love those invisible units. Kind of play little mind games with the other opponent. Kind of get them off their game just a tiny bit.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but with that being said, it is time for game number 3 here. Of course, both of you with 1 win apiece. Let's go ahead and jump into that game number 3 and find out who will take the series. All right, folks, and here we are in game number 3.
All
Of
right,
course.
Asteroid's going with it.
Oh,
We're gonna have a matchup of round 1.
I mean, if it works, it works, and that's going to be the mentality that Asteroiy brings into match number 3 here. Going to start off strong with that Salahar Rider, and following up with the guards. It already kind of seemed like he's got the finger on the trigger there for that play. Allen, though, going to have a better hand to start off. Brings out the
Yeah.
Lumberjack. I mean, I'm liking his odds already.
Depending on what Asteroid draws next, he might be in a little pickle early. I don't know about you, Red, but I am Team Allen for this casting complex. I am Team Allen. I am all in. I would love to see Allen
Well,
start off his career with a win here.
I would
Are we
too,
gonna see a
but you
fear and
don't
incinerate?
shuffle to do that. Of course, incinerate landing on the thief, negating that
Mhm.
completely from the game. And I mean, this is what Asteroid's deck does. It burns off that early stuff from players and kind of just seeks to push, you know, make some uncomfortable damage. As you said, he wants to gain the tempo, and we'll see if he decides to, you know, or we'll see if he achieves that. Really, doesn't matter if he. I think that's what he wants to do, but if he achieves it, it's going to be a different story.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I was gonna say Allen really needs to get a unit out on board. I don't want to see like a rat hovel or anything.
Right.
Let's get some units on the board. Let's get some presence on the board.
And that's, I mean, that's going to be good for him. I mean, already
Mhm.
taking the grotesque over the trade there is a nice start for him.
Oh, great polls. Great good polls for Asteroid. Get 2 good units here. He's kind of deciding. I mean, you got even more polls. You can even fear away if you want.
It looks like
He's
he's
gonna
going to
opt to
set up.
just pass his turn.
Yep, and that's going to allow Allen, though, to make that armory trade. Dragon Knight
Yep.
continuing to stay on the board. And, of course, that will survive a blaze. So, Asteroid actually, oh, well, Blue Firebolt. That could change things
Yep.
up. That could.
Let's blue fire both the armory. Let's get the Hassan City guards down. I would actually just put 1 in front of castle and 1 away, just so lightning blade
Yep, and there's the
take out
play.
both. Yep,
There's the
there you go.
telegraphed play from Tweakin there.
Mhm.
Exactly what he mentioned. And yeah, it just makes sense to bolt the armory, negate Allen's global buffs here, and of course that does lead to a Dragon Knight kill anyway. It just makes all the more sense here. But I mean, Asteroid's going to have a little bit of trouble dealing with these 2/4 units without really a buff of his own. I mean, we don't see the blacksmith, and we only see these 1 attack units that are going to chip away into these 4 health units. It's
I
going to be
would
tough.
fear, yes, I would fear the Drake back and then play Blaze on the Drake. You would hit the castle, the Drake, and the Lumberjack.
I think Asteroid's debating that. I mean, he hasn't moved in yet, so it's certainly a possibility. And of course, that fear allows him to cycle and get a new card, which is what this deck likes to do a lot. We've seen grotesque offerings, we've seen fears. It just likes to draw.
And you can either fear back the Drake, sack the Hassan City guard into the Shaman, and set up for a Dragon's Fire next play if you want to get rid of all 3 units.
Right. We may actually see him hold back the guard, it looks like. He's debating on making that connection. I do think he needs to blaze, though. He hasn't done that yet. He's feared, but not blazed.
Yeah, this is probably the most value you're going to get for your Blaze right now, unless he wants to save that for like a Rat Hovel or a Temple of the 5 Gods in the back.
Oh, and there's the old
He's
nemesis
running
of
out of
all
time,
players.
yep.
The clock ticks, and that's going to be it for Asteroid this turn. Moving away from the Shaman and allowing Allen to kind of come in if he wants. I mean, Faithful Drake trades with the guard there, and of course the Lumberjack takes a swing. And I mean, to me, this game seems like it's going to go a little bit into Allen's favor. I mean, we do know the
Mhm.
Dragonfire is still in hand, but looks like Swordsman going to do a good job cleaning things up at
Yep.
least. Do you have any thoughts on maybe what Allen could bring out to kind of combat what's coming? Oh, well, that's
Well,
my that's the
there's your
that's the
answer. I
answer.
think I think Asteroid is saving that Dragon's Fire for the Mystic Journey and the Rat King. I think he wants to hold on to that for as long as possible. That's why we don't see him even attempting to go even near the Dragon's Fire, like flashing it or hovering over it. I think he just wants to wait until he sees that Rat King come out,
Well, there was
or
another
once he
opportunity
sees
to
the Temple
blaze
Five
too.
comes out.
Speaking of
And
burn, I mean, you had a blaze opportunity right there to pull off the Wind Mage kill, doing a little bit more to castle, but holding to save that as well. Could that be more of just like potential burn to combat Mystic Journey Rat King?
yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Okay, and here we go.
We won't see the
Now
Rat
it's going to
King
get
yet.
interesting.
Yeah, we are getting into dangerous territory here. Temple makes its presence felt. Southport Captain following that up.
I think this is where we're going to see the blaze. I think we're going to see a blaze into a centaur to get rid of the Temple of the Five Gods. We might even push the Salahard Rider up so the centaur can reach the Temple of the Five Gods, and then he plays blaze. But that does leave his face open for Southport Captain. But you're not really worried about Southport.
if you have the
You know,
Dragon's Fire.
he only has he only has two attack. You can take that all
Yep,
day.
he's considering it. There it is.
Hmm.
Blaze on Castle would kill the Wind Mage, dealing enough damage to Temple to push in a Centaur.
Yeah,
And if you
I
want
think you really need to get rid of this Temple of the Five Gods.
before it gets
Because that rat,
dangerous. Yep.
yeah, that Rat King is it's horrible. It's horrible when it comes out.
We always keep talking about it, how it's such an underrated combo, the Rat King Mystic Journey. I mean, it's understandable. I mean, not everyone has 3 copies of Rat King, but I mean,
Hmm.
it's such a dangerous and more often than not a lethal combo, considering how much you can do with it. But we'll see.
And for
Uh,
only 5 gold, only 5 gold
Only
too.
5 gold, but we will see an interesting development here. Asteroid does not go for the temple kill, instead blocking with the rider to protect from the captain on face and throwing out a dark bender, which fetches an onslaught.
Hmm.
Alright, so there we see the onslaught being used on the target that we thought was going to appear in game 1, but I guess not. And another.
Oh gosh, he gets another. But
This
you
is the
know,
second time he both saw this.
Allen isn't in a bad spot. I think the farther this game goes, I think the better position Allen is in because he plays a lot of draw cards. He has Shaman, he has Onslaught. Oh, and as I say that, we get a grotesque offering. That's big. That is big
We'll
for
see where that
Asteroid
goes,
here.
though. It's going to go, okay, on the rider, so trying to hold off on this Darkbender a little bit. I want to see him push Darkbender, though, to get some use out of it, at least before it dies. Yeah, and then we're going to see it pushed right into that prime position. We'll probably see some Spiny Chip, looks like, after done the second Blacksmith, yep. I mean,
Oh, see, this is why he didn't want to take out the Temple of the Five Gods because he wants the game ender. He wants to play the double centaur with the dark bender in.
yeah, this could be
So,
lethal if Allen's not careful here.
mhm.
I mean, he's got the potential to kind of wall off the castle a bit and force Asteroid to play a Dragon's Fire and only get one Centaur down. Okay, so
Yeah.
there goes Darkbender.
So that's good. He took the game ender potential out.
And I want him to trade in the Centaur here, yep, to kind of get rid of that. He didn't need the Blacksmith to do it, but I guess he wants that on board anyway, which is
Mhm.
fine. I want him to get these units out there, though. I mean, I know he's holding them back for the
Yeah.
fear of those companions. He's kind of telegraphing that Temple is a big win con for him in doing that.
Mhm.
So I'd like to see him kind of break away, which we do see. We do see those units break away here. We're probably going to see a Dragon's Fire. It makes the most sense. There's a
Yep.
lot of value for it. Yep, there it goes.
I would push up the blacksmith to get ready for the
Yep,
Yep.
Centaur.
This is
And he's
this
looking to
is
end the game
game
now.
ender. This is a game ender right here.
Yeah, I mean, we need a way to
There's
kind
ever
of...
get Mystic Journey, Rat King. It's gonna be now, right now, Alan. Come on.
It would have to be. Hovel?
Oh,
I mean,
that's not
that's...
okay.
Oh,
I still don't think that's enough.
no, it's
Okay,
not.
wait. Depending on if Asteroid draws a cheap unit, no. All right. So he has one more turn.
Right. He does have one more turn with this. The idea was to kind of push Centaur and Flamestorm with a cheap unit right to
Yep.
that spot that Asteroiy was hovering over there. So that's why we were a little nervous for Allen here. But of course, looks like he's going to continue to hang on in this game just a little bit longer. He's going to need a way though to kind of deal with all these units because each unit on this board represents game over for Allen, considering the combo of Centaur Flamestorm in that hand. We will see Rat make a movement down and away, even though. Oh, okay, and the Mystic
Okay.
Journey, followed up by the Lightning Blade. That's actually going to be pretty big.
Yeah, that is.
Not only does it eliminate 2 big threats there, but I mean, I think that's game. That's game. You
Yep.
can burn him out.
Yep. Oh, that hurts. That hurts.
That stings. So it looks like Asteroiy. Wait. Yeah.
He's gonna do the companion.
He's
Yeah.
gonna do the companion. Not even take the burn route. Just gonna go ahead and burn it off. Disappointing indeed. Nothing against Asteroiy here, but it's always painful to see someone lose in their debut. And we thought he was gonna get close too. The Lightning Blade looked to be promising on the Yeneroth. He looked to make some big impact, but I think he really needs that Rat King Mystic Journey. But with that being said, let's go ahead and take it back to both players and see how they're feeling after game number 3. Alright, gentlemen, and game number 3 concludes. Unfortunately, Allen not able to pick up a series win here, but put up a valiant effort in doing so. I guess we'll go starting with Allen on this one. How did you feel going up against the Warlock Druid again, seeing that as your opposing colors? Were you nervous? Were you pretty much expecting things to go same they did game 1? Take us through your thoughts behind seeing the Warlock Druid.
Well, I definitely played it better than game 1, obviously. I didn't get out in like 6 turns. But, so I think this time, well, I had better cards too. I knew kind of what his deck was about, but I'm not used to decks like that, so I didn't position my units how I probably should have. Like, he got a lot of Centaurs that I could have blocked easily. All I would have had to do was move my Rat before freezing it with the Yeneroth, and then that entire game, I would have had like 2 more turns. And then there's another Centaur I could have blocked. I probably should have just focused more on that. The color, I had Lightning Blade, but he didn't really have much to chain on. It was kind of just hopefully I could get the Rat King Mystic Journey out, but I never saw Rat King.
Yeah.
I mean, we
were waiting for it.
Discussed that it would probably have been a big turnaround for Rat King to show up, but sometimes that just happens. The draw is never too friendly sometimes to us in either game here, but I'm trying to think. Tweaky, do you have anything else for?
So Asteroid, yeah, I do actually. Asteroid.
Allen, but okay.
Oh, for Allen. Oh, no. I thought he played it great. It's kind of hard to have a blue-green deck and go up against kind of like a rush burn deck with Warlocks and Druid, because you have stuff like Temple and Rat Hovels that you need those to get down. You even have Armory and Blacksmith to pretty much make your deck just pretty much, I don't want to say the word unstoppable, but pretty hard to deal with. And when you have stuff to deal with like Centaurs and Companions that can come out any turn and come out in any form, you can come out with any unit on board. You can even play a cheap unit to come out. It's kind of hard to block it and also have an aggressive stance, because you leave those pockets and those gaps where those Centaurs can just move around it and get behind your defenses. So it's really hard to find that kind of sweet spot where you're aggressive, you have that board control, but you're also trying to build up your defenses. So it's definitely a hard deck to counter. But Allen, you did the best you could, and you almost had it. I think if you would have drawn that Mystic Journey Rat King, I think this would have been a really different game for you.
I was looking for a question, not a paragraph.
I'm sorry. Little monologue here.
But anyway, go ahead with your question.
Yeah, so Astro, we saw that you had Dragon's Fire in your hand for like the entire match, and there was countless opportunities you could have played it. And I was wondering just when you were using it, or were you just knew Rat King Mystic Journey was coming out sometime, and that was gonna be your answer to it? Were you just holding on to it? Yeah, you just wanted to say, all right, I have enough burns for anything else, but I'm just reserving this Dragon's Fire unless I draw another Dragon's Fire. This Dragon's Fire is solely for Rat King.
Yeah, that's kind of the idea there. I had Dragon's Fire. He's playing the same deck as game one. I know
Mhm.
Arcane Mystic is a possibility. I know that when the game's going on that long, I need to have something to stop that. So I kept
Right.
the Dragon's Fire. And I
And it
kept the
worked out
Dragon's
for you.
Fire until I could count lethal.
Right.
So once the cards in my hands added up to be lethal, then I knew, okay, I can use this and start pushing damage.
And so when you got the Temple of the Five Gods down to 3 health, me and Red were thinking, well, he could have easily taken this out with the Centaur because he had 2 in your hand. But you were more concerned about just using those Centaurs for game-ending potential because you had what is it? You had 2 blacksmith on board. You have 5 damage right there. That's 10 health gone, and you had the Dark Bender. So you were just more concerned. You were like, all right, Alan could keep the Temple of the Five Gods because I have game-ending potential right here in my hand. So you weren't really looking at
Yeah.
the Temple of the Five Gods. You were just like, all right, let's just hope this Dark Bender survives for one more turn. He leaves his castle open, maybe just one space, or I could maybe draw a fear or another cheap burn where I can burn a weak unit that he tries to block castle with, and I'll just end the game here. Was that kind of your
Yep.
thinking with the 2 centaurs? Yeah.
Yeah, the blaze hitting the Temple of the Five Gods also just made sense because hitting the South Port instead didn't make sense because it would die to Dragon's Fire anyway.
Right.
So I figured I put the temple down to 3, and then, if I ever need to, I can get rid of it.
Yeah, and you weaken it down to 3, making it vulnerable for a spiny or a companion. So you have Alan kind of take that more defensive approach, which we saw, wasting 2 units to kind of just play bodyguard and not rush them down your throat, kind of giving you more room to breathe and more time for you to draw those burns, draw those more centaurs and companions, kind of give more time for your game ending potential, which we saw towards the end.
Yeah.
So it was good. It was good little mind games you guys had going on here.
And
I enjoyed it.
overall, a great series. I mean, we can't take away from the other 2 games that happened previously. I mean, overall, I think this was a great series for both of you and a great debut, nonetheless, for Alan. But before we end off this video, just one more quick question for Alan. Of course, we kind of ask this for the majority of the newer folks who make their debut. I mean, how do you feeling after completing the first series? I mean, you didn't get the win, but you certainly must have some emotions going through you for your debut. So, do you want to share with us any of those thoughts?
I know what I'll have to do next time I play Asteroiy. I gotta use like more bodyguards or something. But I've never seen that deck in Cards TV, like just Rush Centaurs. Yeah, it was a fun series. I'm glad I could at least win one. I didn't get completely destroyed.
Exactly.
It'd be cool to play a not former rank 1 player sometime, but
I mean, that's what
but
we're here for. We have plenty of competitors here. I mean, like we say, there's also the potential for rematches in the future. But with that being said, I think this was a great series overall, and I'll throw it out to my future self to close out this video. With that being said, folks, I hope you did enjoy this edition of Cast and Conflicts. Let us know what you thought down in the comments section below. And while you're down there, if you haven't done so already, be sure to like the video if you enjoyed it, share with your friends, of course, subscribe if you're new or haven't already done so. It's the best way to support us here on the channel, just by showing that you subscribed, you help us grow and whatnot, and we really appreciate that. But with that being said, that's going to do it for me for now. So until next time, guys, stay gaming.